What's up, pod pals? It's your buddy Adam, and you are listening to Podcasting Business School, the show where I teach podcasters how to love their show like a hobby and build it like a business. And today we are for sure talking about business building, online entrepreneurship. I've got one of my favorite online business buddies that is building at a tremendous level. Leslie Levito is on the show. Leslie, welcome to Podcasting Business School.
Oh my God, I'm so excited to be here today.
We're already cracking each other up.
We're already laughing.
Leslie and I are friends. We've worked together, and we text back and forth, and so we can't understand where each other's coming from in the business and entrepreneurship world. She's somebody that I follow closely just to see what she's up to and what she's got cooking, and she inspires me so much with her business growth. So you guys are going to love this episode. I guarantee it. No pressure on Leslie. Okay. No pressure, but we really need you to come through on this one. All right.
I'll do my best. I was just it's been about a year since we've really connected, because last fall, so fall 2022 or like kind of holiday 2022, I was in your podcasting coaching program.
Yeah.
And then I haven't really talked to you, tiny little bits here and there in 2023, but we haven't had like a conversation like this. So I'm super excited to catch up and just kind of talk.
We're catching up / podcast interview. I'm multitasking here.
Let's do it.
All right. So Leslie, I want you to kind of paint the picture instead of doing like the who is Leslie Levito. I really just want to know and paint the picture of the Leslie Levito that got into online entrepreneurship and was making, $5 to $6K per month. Can you kind of paint that picture? Who you were, why you got into online space, and then what your business looked like as you started. I mean, I consider that a benchmark for a lot of online entrepreneurs. Like, how do I make 5 to 6K per month? And you were there. So can you kind of paint that picture for us, what life and business was looking like at that time?
Yeah, sure. So I guess the quick backstory is summer 2020, I was doing what everybody was doing and reevaluating my life, right? There was this whole pandemic. And summer 2020, I'm 47 years old. And so I kind of realized, like, yes, I'm going through a reinvention, and this next reinvention, let's just be straight. I'm more in my like fall season. I'm not a spring chicken. I'm not even a summer one. Right. So it really made sense for me to do something that was really going to matter. It's like, I don't know how many days I have left, what's going on. So it's like, it is time for me to do that thing. And I had known back in 2014 that I wanted to be a coach and have programs and help people start their own businesses. But I was kind of like too chicken. Wait, do I get to curse or no?
Sure, go for it.
Okay, because it comes very naturally to me. Yeah, so basically I was just too chicken shit before to really do the damn thing. So I knew that I wanted to do like online coaching. I started like looking at people that I could, follow or learn from. So fall 2020, I'm starting to pull things together. And I realized that I wanted to launch this company called Cut Class. I have two partners, Rochelle and Sho. And Cut Class is literally like, I feel like so much happened in our K through 12 where we learned from society certain things. And Cut Class is about all the things that you didn't learn in school that you should have learned in school to be successful and have a joyful life. So I started building it in 2020, but to be honest, I got really stuck in like perfectionism, figuring things out, like spinning my wheels where I didn't have to. So it took me almost 6 months to finally like get something going. By spring of 2021, I started working with people. I started, one-on-one coaching and just kind of figuring out who's my audience. And my audience through the years has really shifted. I originally thought I wanted to like coach everybody who wanted to be an entrepreneur. And then I learned along the way, and I think that's really important, right? Is that your business idea and offer, it's a moving target. So if you try to figure it all out, you're just wasting a bunch of time. It's really more of like a hypothesis of what you want and then testing it and then learning who you are, what you want, and learning your audience, who they are and what they want. And it's kind of a collaboration actually through the way. So it took me most of 2021 to just kind of figure that out. So entering in 2022, I have a program called Out to Launch Academy. And 2022, it's doing like $6,000 a month. And it's something that I had just built, using my work experience, taking some online courses. And then in May of 2022, I was like, okay, I need to up level this. and I started working with a coach. His name is Taylor. And I made that investment in coaching, which is always, even though I know it works, it's scary to take money that you feel like you don't have and invest it in your future. So I invested in working with a coach. He had a program that was like, make $100,000 in 90 days. And I was like, wow, if I could do half of that, that would be amazing. So I put myself in the program, and in 90 days, I did $105,000 of revenue.
Yes.
Yeah. And really what it was is, you can build your business and have 90% of it in, or 95% of it, but it's that last 5 to 10% dialing in some of that last bit that actually exponentiates your results. So I had gotten to a certain point by myself, but I needed outside ears and eyes to get me that last 5 to 10% dialed in, because you don't know what you don't know. You can't see your blind spots, right? So that's why I think working with a coach is so powerful, because they help you see your blind spots and then you can get to work on them. So 2022, I'd have to look, but I think June 2022, my income, my revenues went from $6,000 a month to 20, 30, 50. Like, it just kept climbing in the last half of 2022. Yeah. So 2022, my largest month was actually $50,000.
Nice.
Ironically, that $50,000 month came literally 2 weeks after I invested $50,000 in a coaching program for the entire year of 2023. So I've also noticed that it's like every time I invest in myself, even though I'm scared AF, it's like putting a message to myself, to the people around me, to the universe, like, I'm committed in doing this. And it's like suddenly everything just kind of comes in. So I literally, November 2022, invested $50,000 in a coaching program for a year and had my first $50,000 month. And the crazy part about 2022 is I had, from July and August through September, 10 weeks of really bad COVID. Like, I was in bed for predominantly 10 weeks. And unfortunately, towards the end of that, in the fall, I lost my sister. So there was a lot going on for me personally. And what I'm so grateful for is that I did have my business starting to exponentiate, which buffered some of the hard parts that I was going through personally. So 2022, I don't remember my exact revenues. I think they were between like 200 and 300 for the year. And then 2023, I just actually pulled a report. So I've done $1.3 million this year.
Amazing.
January 2023 was hard. I I invested all that money in that coaching program. I didn't have a lot of cash flow. January wasn't a great month, but I just kind of stayed focused, buckled down. And then you just saw like a $50,000 month. And in April, I broke my first 6-figure month. And I have done 6 figures consistently from April 2023 through the end of the year. I mean, we're still in December, and with the exception of November. So last month we were just shy, like I think maybe like $10,000 of a 6-figure month.
Okay, Miss Levito. So we met towards the end of last year. Like, I remember getting a text from you, like, bro, I just hit a 50K month. Like that was when
we were coaching when that happened.
So like, I was right in the middle of that, all that
Mm-hmm.
excitement. And then I remember also getting the text in January, like, I'm freaking out. Sales aren't as good as they were after that 50K month. And then, you stuck with it. You stuck to your guns and you built this thing to 1.3 million in 2023. So that's amazing. So we all see, entrepreneur success stories and things like that. I feel like my job as the interviewer here is to help unpack what you've done with your offer and what you've done with your business to have this type of growth. So I'd like to start with your offer. Do you still just have that one core offer out to launch? Is that
Yeah.
This whole thing's been built on one offer, basically?
Yeah. So Cut Class is a company that is going to have multiple offerings and divisions. And currently it only has one, called Out to Launch Academy, which is my program that specifically helps people who are in 9 to 5 make that transition out of 9 to 5 to be either a freelancer, consultant, or coach. That's what we teach. And so I have one program, and that's all we sell currently.
Okay. Okay. So my audience knows I like to use my podcast monetization pyramid, the diagram of the different
Mhm.
levels. It's like the food guide pyramid.
Mhm.
So I want to diagnose where this would fit on that pyramid. So is this something that people could start anytime? They see you on TikTok and they're like, they go through your sales process. They want to start next week. Can they start next week, or is this like a campaign launch once per quarter, once per year? How does the sign up for the offer actually
Yeah,
look
so
like?
it's rolling registration. So you can start literally like today.
Okay.
I tried doing the launches where you have a cohort and everyone's moving together at the same time. And for me, it didn't resonate. I know it works for a lot of people. I just didn't like it because for me, it always felt like I would get on a call with someone and it was like, well, the cohort just started last month. So now you got to wait 2 months to start. So that never worked. And just like that push of having everything all happen at once, I personally don't like it. And I know that it works for some people. And I think, for me, I would say if as a business person, it's important to try out different things. And it's also just important to understand like what resonates for you because you need to build a business that resonates for like your personality and your style and also what you think your audience needs. But yeah, mine's rolling registration.
Okay, and I vibe with what you're saying. I'm the same way because I'm not a big salesy, like you got to get in now type
No,
of a
you're not.
person,
You're not.
and it's like that doesn't fit my personality at all. And I don't do well with a time-based launch. I do them, I experiment with them, but I'm much more comfortable in the rolling launch, what I call a start anytime offer. So for those of you listening in, this is a start anytime offer. This is something that you can get plugged. That's the foundation of my monetization pyramid. Like I feel like every business should have something like that. Somebody listens to your show, they find you on TikTok, they are ready to give you money. Let's give them something to plug into. So, okay, what does it look like when people are like, all right, I'm ready to go? Are you doing discovery calls? Is it you doing discovery calls? Is it your team members doing
It's a great
sales /
question.
discovery calls? What does that look like?
So I did discovery calls or that initial like sales call. I did that all the way up until about May 2023, and I have since stopped doing that. I think what's really important is, as you scale your business, in the beginning, you do everything, you wear every
Mhm.
hat because A, you're creating it. So you need to kind of understand all the systems. And then B, you don't really have the money to be paying a team. But right around mid 2023 for me, I was starting to make the money and it became imperative for me to scale, for me to stay in my zone of genius. I'm not bad on sales calls or discovery calls, and they were an area where I could see I could unplug and let someone else take that over from me. So how our process works is I have a lot of free content, of course, my podcast, my, different PDFs and guides and quizzes, tons of stuff. And when someone's really ready to actually engage further, we do a discovery call, which is, kind of a sales call. And in that call, we want to understand where is somebody now, where do they want to go, and what's missing for them. And we create a game plan for people. And sometimes we might find that what's missing for you is not you don't need to work with us or you don't need to work with us yet. And so we'll guide that person to whatever the next logical step is for them. I don't want to like pressure people into my program. I am not trying to just, enroll people because I want to enroll the right people who are ready to rock because my highest responsibility is to manage the container of people who are in Out to Launch Academy. So I like to have a lot of integrity around inviting someone into my community. And I hear it from my community all the time. They're like, how is this community so awesome? Like, how is it so connected? And how is it this incredible? And it's like, well, because we have a gateway, which is the discovery call/call. And I don't let just anybody into this community. Because it just, a lot of people would make it, there's so many ways to build a business. For me, it's not just a numbers game, getting people through
Yeah.
and being like, who cares if you make it or not?
Yeah.
That doesn't
Yeah.
resonate with me.
That's a
Um,
profound statement. Yeah. I hope you all underline that one. That's very important.
Yeah. I mean, I tell people I'm in your corner 100%, and I have to honor that statement. So I can't just have anybody in my program. Right. So someone takes a call with our team. We see if we're fit. If someone's a fit, they're invited to begin with us. They get immediate access to, we have a course, which is asynchronous learning. So it's everything that I've learned building 5 businesses, getting my MBA in a video format where people can watch on their own time. So that's one way that we connect. The second way we connect with people is we have office hours, which are live Zooms where people can, watch the asynchronous material and then come to an office hour to ask questions. That's currently me and a team of coaches, including like somebody who coaches at Google, somebody who's just focused on mindset. We have all kinds of like intuitive sales experts, people who work really with your neurosystem. We have all kinds of guests. I mean, you've been a guest, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
we have a lot of people who come in to empower the community. So that's the second way. And then the third way is currently we do use Slack, which is basically like DMs with specific channels so that the Slack, the DMs are threaded. And so we have people continuously sweeping through Slack to answer questions because an office hour might be a day away, right? We don't want you to wait a day to get your questions answered. So we're answering, throughout the day, any questions people have. Sometimes I'll go on to Slack, and as people have questions, I'll do like a quick 3-minute or 5-minute video specifically for them. So that's the main gist of it.
Okay. So lots of points to kind of pick apart here. Let me take one step back to the discovery call, because I feel like that is a hugely overlooked component of online entrepreneurship and online business. And it's something that I've really just figured out over the last 18 months or so, where I'm like, if I can just talk to somebody, basically as a call to action on my show, my most effective call to action is do a discovery call instead of direct selling an offer off my show. People are much more likely, if they get to talk to me directly, get comfortable with me, they're more likely to buy my offer instead of just hearing it on the show. Oh, go buy this thing. It starts Monday. So with your discovery call, how long are those going for? Because this is I don't think there's a right or wrong answer, but I love to see, is it a 15 minutes? Some people are doing hour-long discovery
It's an
calls.
hour.
Okay.
It's scheduled to be an hour. And if we notice early on in the call that this person's not ready, they're not a fit, we might cut it at 15 minutes. It's just like, hey, Adam, I love what I'm hearing from you. Just to save your energy and mine and also our time. This program isn't exactly a great fit for you, but here's what is. And we'll be like, Adam, do these 3 things or check these things out and circle back with us in a month. We always are going to try to reconnect with someone, but there's no need to, be on a call for an hour if at 15 minutes you're just like, this isn't, the vibe isn't there. Yeah.
So, and I think the length should really correspond with the price that you're asking potentially for their investment too. If you've got a $97 program, I don't know if you need to spend an hour, but what price point are you operating at right now without the launch?
I think if I had a $97 program, which I am releasing a low ticket offer in the beginning of 2024, I wouldn't even get on a call.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't get on I wouldn't take time to get on a call for anything that was less than $3,000. So I think $3,000 is kind of like that marker of this is a higher ticket program, and it warrants talking to people. Because here's the thing. People get in their own way. It's the nature of being human, right? It's you're where you are and you want to up level your life. But if you knew what to do and you had all the confidence and had all the answers, you'd be doing it. So you're not doing it. But then when you're just oh, the program's going to be $5,000 or $7,500 or whatever it is, if you just put it on a website, a lot of people will just see the number and talk themselves immediately out of it because they'll let money and the circumstance of if they have that money or not dictate their actions. And what I think a discovery call does is it gets people more into the mindset of how can I be resourceful when it comes to having my future happen versus just like, yes, no, I have the resources or not. So that's why I think these discovery calls are important for higher ticket programs.
Yeah.
And hey, I notice people who sell higher ticket programs in emails.
Yeah. And their name is not me. So I can't do that. And I like talking to people too. Like that's something that I actually enjoy. And you know that like I'll go overtime on discovery calls a lot of times where I'm just like, let's keep talking about stuff. Um, can you speak to pricing? Like, have you always charged the same? Have you gradually leveled up your
Mm-mm.
pricing for out the launch? Can you talk about the evolution of that? Because I get so many questions like, where do I start? How do I know when to start charging more? And there's all sorts of
Yeah.
theories about this, but I feel like you seem to be doing this the right way or a very effective way. So if you could speak to that a little bit.
Yeah. So great question. My clients ask me this all the time. So in the very beginning, I did do some like market research where I said like, "Hey, if you jump on a call with me, I'll give you a free hour of coaching." And what I was doing is like learning how my target audience thinks and like hearing what words they use. I don't love free coaching or even like inexpensive coaching because people show up when they have skin in the game. And when you have a very low ticket offer and the very low commitment financially, when they get confronted, they're just like, whatever. They just don't move through it. You got to understand that when I committed $50,000 to a program, I was like, when my coaches were like, turn left and then jump 3 feet, even though my logical brain was like, I don't know if I agree with that. Like I had all these, things. I was just like, whatever. I just paid you 50 grand. Better turn left and jump 3 feet because the investment I made got me to work through the fear and uncomfortable parts. So there is that. So it's like you got to like kind of balance it, right? So in the very, very beginning, you used to be able to coach with me one-on-one once a week for $3,000. And I would do it 10 sessions. You would get 10 one-on-one sessions with me for $3,000.
Okay.
That was in the very beginning. So, I look back at that and it's like, what was going on there? I didn't have a lot of confidence. I was just starting out. I didn't have a lot of track record. Like I remember working with a coach and he was like, "Are you kidding me? You should be charging $7,500 for 10 one-on-one sessions with you." And I wasn't ready in my head to do that. So I started at 3,000 because you can't go onto a call and offer a price that you don't resonate with because
Right.
it'll be felt, right? So
Yeah.
I started at 33,000, and then when I felt better and kind of felt like that confidence of like I know I can deliver, I raised it to 4,800. And then now it's 6,800 and it's going to be 8,800 soon. And that's 8,800 for like a group program.
Right.
Whereas before you could get $3,000 me one-on-one.
Right. Right.
Right? Like, so right now for me, and it's all just kind of like an evolution. To coach now with me one-on-one in this precise moment, it's like $20,000 for 3 months. And even just like 2 months ago, I was like, oh my gosh, that sounds like so much to me. And then I had my first client do it. She had 2 sessions with me. She paid $20,000, had 2 sessions with me, made $29,000 in 3 weeks, So then I was like, "Oh, okay."
Validation. That's
Yeah,
nice.
and, it's like a lot of it I think there's also, like, as a business owner, you have to, like, sometimes just be in, like, ebb and flow.
So with the current version of your offer, is the academy, is that a year-long program? Is that a 6-month program? What does that look like?
This is a really interesting question. I'm gonna be, like, radically transparent. So, the current program is if you pay in full, it's 6,800, and if you do payment plans, it's 7,800.
Okay.
It's designed to be a 90-day program. and we guarantee that you'll make every dollar back, and we work with you until you do.
That's
I
quite the
really
guarantee.
loved that. Huh?
That's quite the guarantee. I love that. Yeah.
I loved it. And honestly, right now, what I'm looking at is, do I want to continue that? Because I feel like the people, what it does is it lets people off the hook a little bit, right? It's like, I don't need to do this in 90 days or in 6 months. Like, there's no time frame. And because they have a guarantee, they're not still being pushed through their comfort zone. So for me, I'm really exploring like what resonates with me and what will serve them. And I'm like kind of in the messy middle of figuring that out, because when I had my program as a 90-day program and then it was done, that was really hard for people because they're 9-to-5ers who are transitioning out. And so when they get sick, if their parents and, like when your kids get sick and then your whole family gets sick, like that could be 3 weeks. Or I swear, the moment someone registers with me, I feel like suddenly someone quits at their job and now they're having to cover 2. Like, I feel like the universe is just like, how serious are you about this? And gives them like stuff to, work through and deal with.
Right.
So that's why I now in 2023 was like, it's designed to be a 90-day program, but like give yourself that time and spaciousness, because I'm type A, overachieving perfectionist. So I draw that personality to me. And so I noticed that the 90-day program was like crushing people, because then they would feel like, oh my God, I'm behind and I need to catch up. And then the stress is not good. So
Okay. So basically, the guarantee is like if they haven't made their original investment back, they still have access to office hours and all the group coaching and all that stuff until they get the job
they do.
done. Um, do you have a like what happens? I call it a what happens next offer of like, okay, they make the money, they graduate. Do they do one-on-one coaching with Leslie, or what does that journey look like?
That's a great question. So my focus in 2023 was to not not spread myself super thin. So for 2023, once you made all your money back, if you wanted to continue in the office hours, um, you could pay a membership fee of $333 a month, and you're just kind of like rolling with the community. And I do a special office hour that's just for people who are making 10 grand a month or more, because they have different questions and concerns than someone who's like just trying to figure out their first offer. So for me, it was like a really natural thing to just keep people in that same system, because I'm not doing all I did was add on that advanced office hour. And some people, they start with me and they're in that advanced office hour in 30 days. Like, I have people who make $20,000 their first month. So they go right into that advanced group.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I like that. I was just doing a consulting call with one of my clients last night, and he's wanting to build out a similar business format. And I love the idea after like they already have exposure to those office hours and like they already know the value of that and go, hey, you've graduated the first component of this. You can still stick with this option for X. And then we have a recurring revenue stream, which I freaking love. That's level 3 of my podcast monetization pyramid. I'm like, you need to have that income that you don't have to chase down every single month. Like, that's super important. So for those of you that are taking notes out there, if you're like, I'd like to build an academy format like this, think about having that recurring revenue stream that you just peel off one piece that they're already using and loving. And they're like, I can't live without this office hour Coach Leslie time. Then you can make that your membership. And that's how simple a membership could be, like off the back edge, just a recurring offer. So, and that 333 price point, if they're investing 6,800, then that totally makes sense too, kind of coming into that. So, so much still to unpack here. You got my brain wheels turning.
Yeah.
Whenever me and Leslie meet up, this happens both directions. We start really thinking about stuff. So what is working as far as generating leads? Like, are you out there running Facebook and IG ads? I know you just killed it on TikTok. Like, where are most of your people finding you and then jumping into these discovery calls?
That's a great question, because I'm definitely in the middle of a reinvention there. So in 2022, I built my entire business off pretty much organic, doing TikToks and some Instagram. I started dabbling in advertising on Instagram, but it wasn't like my mainstay. And then in 2023, given that I just got COVID, my sister passed away, and I was just kind of like shell shocked. What my coaches wanted me to do, which totally made sense, is not allow me to be the single point of failure. Right. So if you are creating content as a content creator and that's how you get your organic leads, then anytime you're not creating content, your pipeline goes away, right? So that's kind of like what I was faced with at the beginning of 2023. And so I stepped more into paid lead gen because it's way more predictable. And
Yeah.
as you want to up your leads, you up your ad spend.
Yeah.
And so it pulled me out of the equation as far as like content creation. Now, the beginning of November. So one thing that I've, excuse me, really been dealing with, I was like really careful not to say struggle, dealing with, is I've become a content creator who has a following of 103,000 people on TikTok, right? And it's made me very visible. So early November, someone hacked into my Facebook account. They totally took control of
Oh,
my
wow.
personal Facebook, and they totally took control over my ad account. Like, I'm not going to get into the details of it, but they basically set up a dummy account, rerouted my email and my phone number to that dummy account, and then took over my actual account. So every time I was trying to like reset up and re-get in, I just kept going to this dummy account. It took over a week to work it out with Facebook, and there's parts of my account that are still whack. Then, like a week later, my Instagram started going down. So in the last 2 weeks, I've had my Instagram account suspended 3 or 4 times and disabled twice. So here I've seen this like 5-week period where my lead generation is breaking and I don't have control over it because it's totally a meta thing. And when I get on with their support, I don't get real answers. And then 3 days go by, like, oh, your account's up, everything is fine. And then 3 days go by and it's all coming down again. So right now I'm really looking at like having a stronger mix of organic and paid.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Because
scary.
I took myself out as the single point of failure and then put Meta in as my single point of failure. And for me, it doesn't resonate to go do paid ads on Google and paid ads on YouTube. Like, will I do that at some point? Yes. But my zone of genius is creating content and connecting with people. And so taking myself out of that equation, I think created a misalignment within me that then also had like a ripple effect. So, yeah.
It's scary. I mean, I just had a fake Adam account on Instagram, and people are like, "There's a podcasting business school faker out there," and I got so freaked out about that, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And like, what kind of
It sucks. I have 10.
what kind of
And
losers sit back and do this? Is what I'm wondering. Like,
I
who
have
does this?
10 on TikTok. And here's the thing. They block me so I can't see them and I can't
Yep.
report them. And I get like email, like messages where people are like, did you know that someone's like scamming using your whatever for Bitcoin? And it's, for me, it's really hard because I hate to think of people getting scammed. And it's like, you got to be a big girl and big boy and be smart and
Yeah.
maybe notice that that account only has 3,000 followers, maybe like do a user search and just like, if you're following something, here's my message to everyone. If you're following someone, enter their name in the search and look at how many accounts there are. And like, you know, the account that has the most followers and actually has the most number of videos is probably the official one,
Yeah.
right? Like, like there's copies of me that have, 20 videos up. No, the real Leslie Levito has like over 1,500. But
Come on, people. Go with the real
yeah.
Leslie. When my faker popped up, I did a whole Instagram story series about the main way you can tell the difference is I'm the good looking one. So it's
But it's just you.
it's,
I
it's
laugh because my main faker is Leslie Levito, the business couch, not coach, but the business couch. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but if you're following Leslie Levito, the business couch, then you deserve to get scammed. Maybe, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like a funny video that I can make to spoof the Leslie Levito
oh
business
yeah.
couch.
Oh, I'll get going on that. Like you need a
Please
whole
help me. Give me
series
some ideas. The business
live
couch.
with the business couch. Yeah. I mean, that's where you go for all your good ideas is the business couch. You go in there, you sit on that couch, you go to
Do you want a
sleep a little
business
bit.
couch or a business coach?
Do you want a business couch or a business coach, y'all? If you all looking for a business couch, you're in the wrong place. That's my scammer. Um, so funny, but I mean, that's why I'm so big on obviously podcasting, obviously like email list building, all that stuff. Like I can control that deal, and people do pirate podcasts, and that does happen. Like that actually happens a lot on the Spotify. Used to be called Anchor platform, which is why I'm not a big fan of hosting there. But I don't know. We used to live in a world where we gotta watch our back, and I've honestly, it showed me that like my audience really does have my back because I got so many messages like, dude, faker, I already reported him. Don't worry, and like
Yeah.
just dozens and dozens. I'm like, that's awesome. My peeps, they got my back. So let's all go after this business couch out there and get her. Or it's probably not a girl. It's probably, we know these are all dudes, idiots sitting on their couch, their business couch out there trying to scam people. Okay. We've got a lot of people out in the audience that are striving for that, 5 to 6K. Like I want to replace my income. What you preach out there is being able to go from a 9 to 5 and enter the online world, maybe replace that income, go full time. So let's speak to the people that are there, that are in that 5 to 6K per month, like you were not that long ago, and they're wanting to start scaling. They are wanting to jump from 5K months to 20K months, like you did. What are the first like one or two things that you think they need to look at when in terms of their business?
Great question. Um, you want to look at your business in 3 main segments. One is lead generation, people being aware of you, your audience, right? The second one is your sales calls that are happening. And then third is your fulfillment, the delivery of the course. Which one are you like needing the most support in? Like fulfillment should only take like 10 or 15% of your effort and energy. And the rest of it, that other 85 to 90% is in lead gen and sales. So if you're trying to scale, you probably lean towards one lead gen or the other sales. And so it's like finding, the biggest thing about scaling is having a team that supports you. And that team could be one person and having systems in place that actually scale. So the first thing that I did when I was at $6,000 months, that my coach told me, which is the best advice, it's like, if your business was to grow 10x tonight, what's going to break? Right? So it's like, if you get an average of like 2 calls a day and you're going to wake up tomorrow and there's going to be 20 calls coming at you, what's going to break in your systems? And you look at like what would break, like what are your single points of failure or your multiple points of failure, I guess, and solve for them. Because I really believe like subconsciously, if you're just like, my shit is not together and I'm not ready, you're not going to call in this big wave of people because in the background that you can't handle it. So you got to like lock that in.
That I'm just sitting here nodding my head, y'all. I'm like,
Yeah.
100%,
And
100%.
I really believe that being able to scale has a lot to do with you personally growing and developing you. Because we like to compartmentalize it, but for you to have a really scalable, strong business, you have to be taking care of yourself, That includes like healing childhood trauma. They'll bite you in the ass, totally. Self-care, self-commitment, self-love, self-esteem, self-respect. If you don't have those as a solid foundation, when you're scaling and exponentiating, listen, in business, you're never going to stop solving problems. It's not going to be done. And as you scale, the problems get gnarlier. So you have to have that foundation of you like so rock solid. Otherwise, it's like as you scale, you can feel it like getting shaky.
Yeah, I think you have to have non-negotiable terms of your scaling with your business. And like Leslie and I were discussing some of my goals. Like I've got a big financial goal that I'm going after, but my terms are I have to do it on a 3-day work week. Like I'm not going to break that contract with myself and with my family, because I know that's what I'm doing with all the money is I'm like, I get time, I get my schedule, and I get all these cool experiences that I get to have with my kids and my wife and our community here. So like scaling on don't just scale to scale on terms that work for you. What are your non-negotiables as you earn this income? Because if you're breaking those, is it worth it? Like I'm always thinking like, is more worth it in this instance? So just my little Adam tidbit there.
100% agree.
So Leslie, my goodness, this went by too darn fast, but I'm excited.
I'm like, we got to do a part 2.
Yeah. Part 3. Leslie, part 4. This time it's for real.
Guess who your new co-host is going to be?
Leslie LL Levito. So let's make sure people know how to get into your world. Where do you want to send them? Are we sending them to TikTok? Are we sending them to a website, podcast? Where are they going?
Yeah, I think the easiest thing is if you go to letscutclass.com. So it's LETSCUTCLASS. That'll give you access to everything, like my podcasts, any like guides and PDFs and things that I'm up to. And if you want to just like see me on social media, my handle there is Let Go and Discover.
And give her a follow. Don't follow the business couch. Follow the real Leslie.
Yeah,
she's got so much great content. If you just need to be inspired as an online entrepreneur, as a online coach, consultant, service provider, somebody that's working a 9-to-5 that wants to get into that world, just hit the follow button and see what she has to say. Just so much great stuff that always gets me fired up. And she's always walking around like her neighborhood with her blue glasses on, just dropping knowledge. And I'm like, man, Leslie does it again. So my friend, I'm proud of you. You're somebody that really inspires me. And I'm glad you were able to come on here and inspire my audience today.
Thank you for having me. I love sharing. So happy to share with you, Adam, or anybody who's listening to this. I'm in your corner. I think it's really important that we all have access to conversations for success. My whole philosophy is this is my social impact conversation, right? So if more of us have what I call the 5 F's, right? Freedom, flexibility, fulfillment, funds, right? Making money and having fun. If we all have those 5 F's, we can have that space and energy to go and like make real change in the world.
Beautifully said. All right, pod pals. That's a wrap for this episode. We're kicking off the new year, bringing it as promised. And hopefully this inspired you to maybe think a little bit bigger. It sure did for me. And with that, as always, I'm going to send you out into the world, wishing you health, happiness, and many downloads. We'll see you next time.